Yes, I made the music myself. Oh man, it's already making my head. Ben, let me go to another song. Gonna get some good background music that I made. Not too loud, just enough. What's up, SLD? How you doing? All right, what is up? What's up, Karen? What's up, Dave? How's everybody doing there? Yep, just getting my stuff. What's up, I Burnout? It Burnout. What's up, America? So, I gotta tell you, I can talk freer here. I think we all know that. What's up, America? How you doing, Meep? How's everybody doing? So let's get into the actual news, and then I'll talk about my government, because I have all 50 points of my government plan done. And then some of you have heard it before. Sorry, I had turkey a little while ago, and damn, some of you have heard some of it before, but I've got a real comprehensive government. What's up, Giga Dad? I've got a very comprehensive government to talk about. Am I a vegan? God, no, I just had a bunch of turkey. I like meat. I can't help it. Same with, what do they call that? Bacon. I like bacon. Yummy, yummy in my fucking tummy. So, real quick, I'm going to go through the news. Then I'm going to go through my government. I have an entire comprehensive news for the day, including a great deal of stuff with Donald Trump. Couple stories I'll get to later that are not in this. And Ukraine is a big deal coming up. What's up, Stern? What's up, Brenda? And so this is the news of the day. And if you like it, thumbs up and share and all that. And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself, I guess. Whatever. Ooh, $50. That'd be nice. A federal judge dismissed the Justice Department's case against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, ruling that the prosecutor leading the case was unlawfully appointed. This marks a significant setback for ongoing investigation into their roles in past probes. You taking any time off from here? No, I've got to stay on here. I like it. President Trump signed an executive order to enhance the national scientific research through artificial intelligence known as Project Genesis, highlighting the deployment of the Aurora supercomputer at Argonne National Laboratory for Advanced Computing Tasks as Donald Trump and the Trump administration. What's up, Proud Boy? What's up, TikTok? How you doing, Lorenzo? Saying that Donald Trump is now putting supercomputers with AI. Thank you, me. How you doing? I love you. In order to try to cure diseases at a faster rate using quantum computing and things like that. How you doing, my friend? So hopefully that'll work out. That's a new one. It would give a reason as to why Donald Trump put so much money into AI. Hell yeah, it's the Freedom Tower and the Oculus. I take all my background pictures. What's up, Sweetums? This is my last time I was in New York, a couple of years ago. The Trump administration is investing billions in a minority stake in U.S. companies like Intel, steel production, and mineral firms to counter Chinese influence, with deals accelerating in recent months. Yes, Jesus is king, absolutely. He's God. So does anybody believe that's bordering on socialism slightly? I personally don't have a huge problem, but I think that the United States government needs to invest in small business, not mega corporations. And so I've got a point on that in my government I'll talk to you about here after I read the news. But that's a little sort of disheartening that it's going that way. I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be bad for anything, and socialism doesn't crush everything. We'll see what happens with Zohran Mamdani in New York City. The gifts are high as fuck here. Yeah, I have no idea. I need to start going into live streams and seeing what they're like here, because I have no idea. I haven't even looked. Yeah, I need to learn YouTube more, big time. I'm still figuring it out. The Trump administration has invested billions into this to counter China. If you believe that's socialism or not, let me know. Also, if you want to join my membership, I have memberships here. So I don't know if you think it's socialism, if you don't think it is. Are you cool with that? Are you not cool with that? Doesn't matter to me. Just let me know in the chat. Socialism, yes or no? Is Trump becoming a conservative socialist or no? Which is actually a thing. Ever battle on TikTok? Only a couple of times from a long time ago. U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll met Russian officials in Abu Dhabi to discuss a proposed peace plan for Ukraine amid optimism from the White House about a potential deal. President Trump directed Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to meet Vladimir Putin as momentum builds for negotiation, with Ukraine agreeing in principle, but noting much work remains. What'd that asshole do?
They were trying to get people to get on.
The stock market surged, with the Dow rising 650 points, which at this point I wouldn't really call a surge, but whatever. For the second straight day, however, Nvidia and AMD shares dropped amid tech sector volatility. Zoom shares are up 8%, which is kind of insane in and of itself. U.S. corn exports inspections fell to 1.63 million metric tons, down weekly but up yearly, while the corn harvest reached 96% completion for the year. Thank you, my friend. So the corn harvest for the year in the United States is almost over. And senators accuse Meta of earning $16 billion from illicit ads in 2024, including scams using AI deep fakes, criticizing staff cuts, and lax enforcement. Of course, also, if you know anything, you burn just thinking about sunlight. Back in the day, yes. But you see, I'm Scots-Irish, so I'm not white. That's why. Now, I burn into a crisp golden brown, believe it or not. I lived in Australia twice. It's fantastic. Thank you, M. Kelly. So, South American news, and I'll get into Trump and... Yeah. Mike McCoy. I'll get into fucking Trump news here in a minute. Brazil's president, Lula da Silva, affirmed that multilateralism will win despite U.S. opposition under Donald Trump, who's a singular or a bilateral type of negotiator, citing the G20 in South Africa and the COP30 in Brazil as evidence of continued global cooperation. Of course, you have the BRICS nations and all these other things too. I'm not a fan of multilateral trade in my own right, but whatever's clever, I guess whatever people want to do. Rio de Janeiro's top court upheld preventative detention of former President Javier Bolsonaro, released a study on reducing income gaps, and announced 1,832 Black Friday opening jobs. By the way, job openings in the United States are rising, or job fallings, or people getting fired is getting worse here in America. But I turned black. Thank you, JB. Oh my God. Thank you, JB. Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa discussed reopening a former U.S. military base in Manta with U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to combat organized crime. That's fucked up. Avian flu has decimated South Georgia's elephant seal population, with few survivors washing up on Uruguay's beaches. Former Brazilian President Bolsonaro was transferred to a detention facility after tampering with his ankle monitor. So there's that. South Africa transferred the G20 presidency to the U.S. in Pretoria, emphasizing African priorities amid the U.S. boycott of the Johannesburg summit. And in Latin America, and the Caribbean, only 23% of FU or of UN subsidy development goals are on track for 2030, meaning that they're fucking up with the UN there. What's up, America? Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Mary. News in Europe, migrants are fucking taking over the place. You might as well just start worshiping on a prayer rug because Western Europe, they're going Sharia, baby. Ugh. I can't, man. Like, you guys into that? You guys into that Sharia shit? You guys into the people in England and Ireland getting stabbed? And I'll just tell you a story. In Italy, there were 3 migrants, drove a car into a guy in his girlfriend's car, pulled him and her out and held him down, and they all gang raped her in front of him. Yeah, so that's fun right there. So, yeah, nothing like migrants flowing from Africa and the Middle East, specifically ISIS-held territory, into Europe. What a stupid fucking adventure by Western European turd government. Keir Starmer's a fucking dipshit. Keir Starmer's a piece of shit. The French president's an idiot. They're not going to assimilate. Thank you, iBurnout. They don't assimilate. They just commit crimes. Well, some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. But what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Why would you want that? Why do you want to force multiculturalism? You didn't even ask your people. You just said this is what you want. I understand if you did a referendum vote and said, hey, population of X, Y, or Z country, do you want a bunch of fucking illegals from Pakistan here or not? Vote yes or no. And if the majority of the population votes for their own death warrant to bring everybody over, that's on them. That's fine. But you don't even give them a chance. You don't even give them a chance. You just say, no, you're bringing them over. Fuck you. That's it. We're going to have all these fucking migrants and people that hate you. Oh, you're a Christian? Yeah. You'll take the knife. And it's like, what the fuck, Richard? It's like, I don't want to do that, man. I just want to live my life. I like shawarma just as much as the next guy, but I don't want people knifed and raped all the time. Does it have to always be with the knifey, rapey? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. I don't see a value. I don't see the enrichment. I see enrichment when I see people from India. I see enrichment when I see people from certain places. But when it's a bunch of people that, oh, I was in ISIS, now I'm here. Great. What the fuck are you doing here in England? Why do you keep arresting Tommy Robinson while allowing people to knife girls and rape them and then they get to go free? I don't understand it. You're going to arrest people for hate speech online, but then you're going to say, oh, well, this person killed a fucking teenager by knifing him to death. We'll give him home detention for 6 months. That is, my friend. Is that Greg? Yes, that is a brush with concentrate in it. That is good eye. Good I knew YouTube people were smart. Yes, that is a good observation, my friend. It's I only. What's up, I only? How you doing? Hey, how you doing? Everybody here is like fine wine. See what I mean? So Europe has just bought the farm. At this point, I know Russia's not going to do it, but you might save Western Europe by having Russia invade it and kick out all the fucking migrants. I'm just saying. Thank you, John. I'm not a big fan of what they've been doing lately, but it seems to be better than the fucking migrants coming over and playing a game of knifey spoony, or I should say a game of knifey rapey with the population. You guys want to play a game of knifey rapey? Yeah, welcome to fucking France. Refugees welcome, right? Remember that time in Nice, France, when the guy got into a semi and killed 84 people? Drove over them with a semi? Remember that? Nice, France, look it up. Yeah, ran over babies and shit. But they were just trying to culturally enrich France. And the fucked up thing about it isn't the fact that all those that guy did that and killed all those people. That's not even the fact that's weird. The fact that's weird is the population didn't demand everybody that was deported for that. I don't understand what is happening. Is it the water? Is it the food? Is it like, I don't get it. I don't understand. What is it with you're so worried about being called racist? You want somebody that might be a terrorist deported and you say you're worried about being a racist? Well, don't I have a valid fear of being knifed, driven over, raped, or killed? Christmas markets have been driven through with cars or trucks. Same with France, 85 people. I never want to go to France after that. Yeah, I never want to go to France. That effectively, I remember that. And I know the French, they probably don't like me anyway. Well, we don't want you there anyway. Well, I would have come there. I would have loved to have seen it, but I have no desire to go to France, seeing that you allow people to just run over the streets with an 18-wheeler and there doesn't seem to be much outrage. Kind of like in England at the Ariana Grande concert. Remember that when all those people were killed? The douchebag went in there and bombed all those people. All those teenage girls died. Nobody just kind of overlooked that. Yeah, we're supposed to feel so bad about Palestine and all that shit, but you come and blow up our people. And it's just Western Europeans. Don't worry about them. Yeah, I understand how it is. We're basically a second class to everybody. I get how you try. And I understand that your governments are beta cucks. And not just beta, because that study on beta dominance, alpha shit was flawed. That was on, that didn't even have anything to do about men in the pack. It was a man and woman, or it was a male and woman wolf. So it was a boy and a girl wolf and their cubs. And they were like, well, there's a pack order. It's like, no, that you were studying a female wolf as an alpha male. What the fuck? Anyway, so that doesn't make any sense. So the alpha and the beta argument is stupid because that's not a real argument because it's on flawed data. Nevertheless, the governments, if you could put whatever that is into a term and call it beta cuck, that's Western Europe is what I'm saying. Canada, on the other hand, and I love Canada. I love Canada. The people of Canada are great. Dude, your government killed all those ostriches. The fuck is wrong with you? Not you, but like the government. Justin Trudeau was a piece of shit. And I can openly say that with gusto. Fuck you, Justin Trudeau. I mean, I know you're fucking Katy Perry. You got too into yourself. Thank you, Scott. And then you killed all those animals. Those fucking, yeah. Yeah, he still is. Yeah, Carney is a fucking piece of shit too. And why is it? Because he's just Trudeau 2.0. But the government is heavy-handed, went in and killed those ostriches needlessly, made a big to-do about it. There was supposed to be a protest. It wasn't huge like it should have been. I understand Canada's more liberal, but this is not the same liberal that you're talking about. This is a globalist type of thing. And there's a lot of people that get these confused between what liberalism is and what globalism is. And I don't talk about this on TikTok because you can't, because they're a bunch of douchebags. So I'll talk about it here. Globalism is destroying the world, but not in a way that you think is bad or that you think is good. So globalism is good and bad. I went to school for anthropology. I went to grad school. We talked about supply chains and globalism and urban sustainability and all this shit. And globalism is good on the scale that it gets food and resources from other countries to your country. However, globalism that removes culture and borders is not good for the continuity of the world. So, I'll just put it to you this way. Do you believe the world is better with everything the same or with people being different? Because this is what it boils down to. In my opinion, the world is enriched by everybody having differences and having their own areas that is their hub. Once you get it into a global unification, the cultures become muddled. They even disappear. And then in the worst case scenario, capitalistic corporations and governments end up selling that culture to people. You see? And that's the problem. So, for instance, African culture, let's say African colonial wear, which is an African statuary, was made by these people as deity art, right? Deity art. So there would be a spirit in these pieces that they would carve, they would believe. But they started creating them for Europeans and selling their culture. Thank you, Dan. Selling what means something to them for wampum, basically. Okay? And the more you spread globalism, the more you dilute cultures to where instead of it being a part of your identity, it turns into just something that's a novelty. You see what I'm saying with this? So let's say Western Europe, something that was a part of your identity, like your German food, the way you dress, the songs you sing, the traditions during the holidays, that's now replaced with halal, shawarma, this, that, and the other, but not out of a natural progression, out of a forced progression called cultural enrichment, when it's nothing but cultural destruction and replacement of another culture, in my opinion. So I like each country having an individual dress and songs and national identity and food and this and that. It enriches the world to have those differences. But if you say, well, instead of New York City, instead of the apple pie and the cultural or the architecture of the city that's generally neoclassical back in the day with carvings and nice paintings and all this, we're going to take the American experience out of that and replace it with minimalism that looks like Soviet-style brutalism in your apartments and businesses. Then we're going to replace all your food, instead of breakfast food, down-home Southern food, this and that. We're going to replace it with Indian food, Arabic food, shawarma. Instead of peppering it in like it should, we're going to totally remove your culture and replace it with this shit. And I love Arabic food. I like shawarma and kebab and all this other shit. But I don't want everything replaced. I like everything like New York City, where I can get breakfast food and a pot pie and Peruvian food and yes, a kebab, but also grandma's apple pie, and I can have that. I don't want it replaced and then you to sell my culture back to me as a novelty. You see what I'm saying? And that's the way I see is happening with Western Europe and throughout the world, specifically with the spread of Islam, is a total degradation of borders, language, and culture. What's up, Ruthie? Yeah. And those are the three proponents that even Dr. Michael Savage stated a long time ago, where borders, language, and culture are the three components that make a nation. Now, the hard communist liberal order wants to remove nationalism. They say that nationalism is racist, right? They say, yeah, it is, my friend, Sterler. Yeah, all the food is. And I'll get into food prices in a minute. So they're basically saying that nationalism is racism, right? So it used to be, if you were a racist, that was racist. Then if you made microaggressions, now you're a racist. Now, if you're a nationalist, you're a racist. Or if you like a country over another, now you're just a racist. So everything's been chopped down by this false racist narrative, and everybody is dealt into it because of some type of collective guilt that doesn't actually need to be existing. Exactly, Proud Boy. Because there is no overt racism that we're talking about. A lot of the racism is of the very high, wealthy elite. And it has nothing to do, yeah, that's another thing. And it has nothing to do with anybody in the real world. However, we're living in this odd society, if you want to call it now, that says that everything that's either Western European, white, or has anything to go against communism, socialism, or indigenous or minority belief systems, that makes you a racist. Thank you, my friend, for the gifts. And you're not a racist for wanting your culture and wanting to enjoy it. So if you're from like Scandinavia and you like that, and they say, no, I want you to stop doing that, replace it with my food, my mosques, my dress. You like to dress in a bikini? Cover up. You like to eat this food? You like ham? Don't eat it. You can't. You like these songs? You're not allowed to listen to it because my God says no. That's a problem. Do you see what I'm saying? That's a problem because who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? Well, if you don't, you're racist. No, you're just being a dickhead is what it is. You're just being a dickhead and you're trying to exert power and control because you want power and control. And I don't want that type of thing. I don't want that here. I don't want it in Western Europe. I don't even want you to act like that in your own fucking country. Thank you, Nara. Or Nana. And we see it all the time, and you keep asking, like, well, the liberal mind specifically, we have it so bad here. American men are sexist, racist. We don't have rights to abort. We don't have this, that, or the other. But no woman is fighting for the rights of anybody in Saudi Arabia, I've noticed. I've noticed that no women that are in the hard liberal sphere are fighting for women's rights in Afghanistan. You know, the women in Afghanistan, they say that they are not allowed to look out windows now. Not allowed to look out windows now because they might catch a glimpse of a man and that might turn her a certain way. She'll get too hot for life. So we can't have that. Not allowed to learn. They used to beat women in Saudi Arabia that were dressed inappropriately. And we have the nerve to say, oh, the poor women here in America. Well, men aren't toxic. Thank you, my friend. Yes, not all men are toxic. Exactly. Thank you, Ruthie. And I just challenge the liberal order here in the United States by saying, go and help the people and the oppressed in these countries overseas before you fucking take a look at how terrible your life is, which it's actually really not. In some countries, you're not allowed to walk in public without a man present. And you have the nerve to say that you're degraded here, as you can divorce anytime you want, cheat anytime you want without any repercussions almost, except divorce, of course. And it's like, and you have the nerve to say it's fucking sexism here. You can only say it's sexism when the rest of the world is up to the standards that you're at currently. Otherwise, you're disassociating yourself on purpose from the plight of other women overseas that you refuse to help. It's disingenuous at the very least. It's disingenuous at the very least. That's all I'm saying. And so I would say, instead of looking at how bad the patriarchy in America and all this shit is, what we should do is focus out and say, oh, we should uplift these women in Bangladesh or India or Pakistan or anyone else. But they don't want that because that narrative would make the men in those countries sound bad, and that might be racist, you see? So being called racist falsely apparently is the trump card of all life, which it's getting really fucking old, by the way. But I digress. I kind of went off there, didn't I? Sorry about that. But Western Europe, in my opinion, is on the way to being lost, if it's not already, and there's not much we can do about it. I'm going to go into speed news, and then may I tell you my government. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Job losses accelerate. Turkey prices up 24%. Consumer confidence spirals. FBI Director Kash Patel may be out shortly. Liberal media big years online are about over. And Donald Trump, who was once a proponent against Obamacare, is now cozying up to it to keep people on insurance. Michelle Obama now says it's a loss for the nation that she won't be running for president.
Who? Michelle.
Mike Obama. So Michelle Obama now says it's a loss for the nation that she will not be running for president. That's a person that's very full of herself. Wow. Stocks in Bitcoin are volatile, and retail sales throughout the United States are cooling. As consumer confidence falls and costs increase. We all knew that. Dipping. Oh my God. U.S. retail sales lost momentum in September, and firms grappled with an uptick in business costs. Government data shows Tuesday, underscoring growing concerns about affordability in the United States. Beyond these delayed economic figures indicating that consumers turned cautious towards the end of summer, a separate survey saw consumer confidence hitting the lowest since April. Thank you for the gifts, by the way. Is that Nana? Economists warn that the softening in sales is likely to persist as President Donald Trump's tariffs add to cost increase while the labor market weakens. Overall retail sales picked up only 0.2% month over month, and the Commerce Department slightly below analysts' expectations amid cooling from August's 0.6% increase. Now, obviously, this is the fourth quarter, and if sales are bad this quarter, it'll fuck up the next half a year. A report by the Labor Department, meanwhile, showed that wholesale inflation picked up by 0.3%. The rise was driven by a 0.9% jump in goods prices, highlighting the steeper cost in that faces businesses. Much of it was, thank you, my friend, attributed to the volatile food and energy segments in the United States. But for now, some retailers continue to shield customers from the full effects of tariffs that we're seeing now. As Donald Trump's tariffs take hold, all eyes have been on how consumers, a key driver of the world's biggest economy, respond to price pressures. Affordability has emerged as a key worry, with Democrat victories in off-year elections in New Jersey, New York, and Virginia this month, fueled by voters' anger over the high cost. I told you this would happen on TikTok, and people over there are stupid. Trump has since widened tariff exemptions to cover various agricultural products as cost of living weighed on American voters. Besides the muted growth in September, retail sales, Navy Federal Credit Union chief economist Heather Long flagged notable monthly declines in categories hit hard by tariffs. Me too, Shane. We can talk about more, and we can say fucktard, and I could smoke weed on this. These include auto parts, electronics, appliance, sporting goods, and instruments. American consumers are value hunting mode. They're spending more on basics and being extra choosy with discretionary dollars. It is calmer. That's the second time I've heard that. YouTube's just better than TikTok. No question. There's a growing gap between higher earners and low income. The wealth gap is the largest it's ever been in the United States. Although wealthier households continue to spend, middle and lower income families are turning more cautious heading into the holiday season. I've been saying this for months. She noted mounting pressure from a weaker job market. The retail figures, alongside fresh evidence of soft private sector hiring, boost the case for another Federal Reserve interest rate cut in December, so say top economists. Data released by the Conference Board showed Tuesday that consumers are not only less confident, I'll use that word, about their current situation, but notably more pessimistic about business conditions 6 months from now. Its consumer confidence index dropped to 88.7 from 95.5 in October, the lowest in 7 months. Looking ahead, federal officials will be digesting the newer private sector data, indicators, and delayed federal figures as they mull the need for another rate cut in December. However, retail sales overall are up 4.3% for the year. So, not a big rise. Democrat lawmakers say the FBI is targeting them over calls to disobey unlawful orders. As you know, the Pentagon is opening an investigation against Senator Mark Kelly. He might be the next one to face a court-martial. Somehow they're finagling those rules to make that happen. And AI is about to replace 40% of American jobs. See? Told you. New reports from the McKinsey study finds that 40% of American jobs will be replaced by AI. 57% of work hours will be taken by AI and robotics. So, about 40% of American jobs could be replaced by artificial intelligence, according to a report by the McKinsey Global Institute. The American consultancy analyst found that robots and AI agents could automate more than half of all work hours, both manual and cognitive, using technology that is available right now, if companies redesigned how they did things. Most of the roles at risk involve the kind of drafting, processing information, and routine reasoning that AI agents can do. Hiring is slowing in some such jobs, such as paralegals, administrative and office support workers, and programmers. As you know, several months ago, I was fired from a job doing coding, and I had to get another job. And of course, that right there was another AI attack on me. Smoke them if you got them, and if you're rich, don't forget to become a member and gift. Right, honey? Similarly, dangerous physical jobs in warehouse or operating machines are more likely to be replaced by robots. I urge you to go, what's up, America? How you doing? I am Cobbler. I urge you to go over to X and look up worker robots. And then just look at all the construction jobs that are going to be taken by robots. Conversely, a third of U.S. jobs would be difficult to replace with AI because they are human attributes, such as nursing. The analysts found some 70% of the tasks performed by careers and other healthcare workers cannot be replaced. The workers require a physical presence, empathy, care, and dexterity that machines cannot replicate yet. Building maintenance and repair work, which demand flexibility, judgment, and thinking on the job, often in unpredictable environments, is similarly unlikely to be targeted by automation. The barrier to adoption came from policy choice and spending on implementation and development. Rather than tinkering with individual tasks, you can generate $2.9 trillion every year economically by 2030 if you automate these jobs away. Human skills would not disappear with the AI, its research found, but instead people would work in partnership with AI and robots. Workers will change how and when they do things, spending less time on jobs such as preparing documents and more time interpreting results and telling AI systems what to do. A third of American jobs in professions such as teaching will use AI in hybrid ways to help with work, generate content, and deal with administrative burdens, leading humans to interpret results and make judgments and guide decisions. So it looks like probably test grading and shit will start with AI. It's not all doom and gloom. Researchers have argued that the rise of AI was creating a wave of new jobs, from product managers who coordinate AI systems to people who ensure safety, because artificial intelligence still depend on humans to supervise, tune, test, and physically support the system to make it run. Over the past few years, companies and governments have been trying to harness AI to increase efficiency and productivity, some organizations have started to report a positive impact on profitability by needing fewer workers. Klarna, the recently listed fintech, has said it will continue to grow its revenue while keeping a number. So listen to this. Klarna, the company Klarna, is increasing its revenue while keeping employee numbers flat because it's using AI in a variety of functions. Clifford Chance, the law firm, announced last week it was cutting the number of its business services roles through an increased use of technology, echoing a similar move by BT, the telecom company. Also today, Kroger cut 2,800 jobs at the delivery centers, and they're replacing those with AI as well. A recent Stanford report found that early career work aged between 22 and 35 in the most AI-exposed occupations have experienced a 13% decline in employment. But more experienced workers in the same field have not seen equivalent job losses. So it looks like, what's up, America? What's up, Mabel Cat? So it looks like so far, AI has reduced entry-level positions by 13%. And that's this year. The McKinsey report states that once again, 40% or more of all jobs will be taken up. Venezuela, we're still waiting. Maduro was dancing to music earlier. Yeah, so we're still waiting. I say they're preparing, but obviously something's going to give down there, but no news as far as anything yet. The McKinsey report follows one from Microsoft, which found that translators, sales representatives, and financial advisors are the first victims of AI revolution. Nurses, ship engineers, plasterers, and water treatment operators are the safest. So the safest jobs for AI, or to make sure that you're not going to have your job taken by AI, is nurses, ship engineers, plasterers, and water treatment operators. But the jobs that will be taken most are translators, sales representatives, financial advisors, bankers, coders, all that. And so that's a story from the New York Times about AI taking your jobs. The United States government is grappling with basically retribution in government attacks. And a new study found that social media detoxing is leading younger adults to spend more time on the phone after they go back to it. Okay, the next story coming up, as you know, is our Ukraine is making a deal with Russia that might come here very quickly. We'll see what happens. China and Japan are in conflict. China calls President Trump. We talked about that earlier. China needs to stop making precursor to fentanyl and sending it here, those fuck faces. And in a new study, listen to this, in a new study, brain cells are made pre-programmed, debunking a centuries-old claim that your brain is a clean slate. Thank you for the gifts. So, for centuries, people said that the human brain was a clean slate in the womb and that everything was environmental or learned. This now states that brain cells, from a new study, says that the brain cells are created pre-programmed. So that's new. Iran may be forced to relocate 10 million people as the capital city, Tehran, runs out of water. AI Christian singer is one of the top Christian singers on Spotify. And travel chaos as 7 airports nearly go down right before Thanksgiving. So that's the news of the day, honey. Baby, look at me. Will you like that? I can tell you're high, but will you like that? In a minute, you're passing out. I know, light it.
But that means I have to sit up.
Come on, chop chop, baby.
Can't we do it when you come lay down?
No, because that means you're trying to force me off,
No, I'm not.
and you're just sitting there falling
I
asleep.
just don't want to sit up.
Oh my God.
Come around this.
Oh, come on. But then you'll... No, I can't do that shit. Well, I guess I could. I am on a green screen, aren't I? Really? You're going to be that lazy you can't even sit up? Oh my God, woman.
So comfy.
You hear this shit? What's up, America? Okay, sorry. Hold on. I'll do something for my wife. Hold on. Oh my God.
Get good towards me.
Okay, is that better? All right. I moved for her so I could get higher.
I was gonna say you actually moved for you.
What's up, Steph Cox? Yes. What's up, Steph? Yes, I moved it for me so that I could get high because my wife is, yes, she's very high right now. I'm not going to strip. This isn't OnlyFans. Oh, by the way, did you hear about that app? There's an app. If anybody out there has an app on their phone called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like starting at age 13 OnlyFans.
Really?
Now, what is that shit? I'm not ever gonna get on it, obviously, because it's terrible. What's up? I can't remember the name of the app. I'll have to find out, but it's fucking sickening. I'll do a video on it. Older millennial talked about it. I still pay you on YouTube. Well, I was wondering where you've been, Steph. Okay? So real quick, Steph. Oh yeah, dude, I made a video with 250,000 views on TikTok about Campbell's. So Steph, have you totally gone? Jeez, nuts! So Steph, have you totally gone off of TikTok? Because I haven't seen you there in ages, and TikTok is crashing the fuck out. Do we host Thanksgiving? We do not. We go up to the north side, don't we? All right, so I want to talk about my government because I finally got my government to 50. She gave up totally on TikTok. Well, a lot of people are coming to YouTube because TikTok sucks dick. So, yep, everything I say is an issue over there. So fuck TikTok. Oh.
Because I can't sit up.
You can't sit up
Because then I might
Because
I might show up on there. Why are you giving me such a hard time?
it's not shocking shit. It's just totally you being lazy.
No, I don't want to be
Uh-huh.
on camera.
Anyway, yes, what's up, Steph? Oh my God, no, I know you don't want to be on camera.
So I can't sit up at the vestry because I might be on camera. That has nothing to do with being lazy.
Anyway, let's talk about my government, my 50-point government. I love you. I wish you did me.
Giving shitty looks.
That wasn't a shitty look. That was a what's that look called? It's the Will on the Yitz. The one where it has the, like this. He's just like, does the stare. Justin Timberlake stare. Anyway, yes. What's up, America? How you doing there, Keith? What's up, Keith? You know what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to do that, my friend. So let's talk about my 50-point government. I'll be brief about it. Briefer about it than I usually am. What's up, DJ Slayer? How you doing? Word, what's up? So my first point on my government is term limits. I think we've talked about that. No more than 2 terms, not 2 terms in Congress, then 2 terms in Senate, then just 2 terms, period. That's it. Otherwise, what's up, Ronson? Is that Ronson? What's up? It's Ronson. What's up, America? That JT stare? That's funny shit. Oh my God.
That's who that is. I was wondering who that was. Because he said earlier he prefers to send his gifts through the mail.
Oh, yes.
Who is
Yes. Sorry, that's a concentrate painted joint. Here you go, baby. So, I'll get back into it. Sorry, I'm getting all ADHD here on you. My first point in my government is I'd like to see term limits. 2 terms in government, then you're back. It'll shake it up and force a lot of people to come and go. You also won't have long-term nepotism or long-term career politicians. Going directly into my second point, which is ending lobbying altogether. And what I mean, hell yeah, Ronson. Dude, I need to hook you up too, but I'm in Indiana. I don't have anything good here. I mean, I guess I could send you some gummies. I don't have much. Well, I do get them from Michigan. You're right. Can I see your drink? No, oh, for God's sakes. My second point, I would like to end lobbying altogether. Oh, and it's water. Oh, thank God. Oh, man, that's like... Oh, that was like being in the desert. And then me finding an oasis. Oh, my God. Champagne Supernova. Anyway, first point, term... What? It's Champagne Supernova. There you go. So my first point is term limits, 2 terms only, then you're out of government total. My second point is no lobbying. End lobbying. There's no lobbying allowed. It's illegal. It's just legalized corruption. That's all lobbying is. Those two together will stop most corruption in the government. Man, I am high. What's up, Dave? Third point is to end the IRS for people under $150,000 a year or $300,000 as a household. And that's also getting rid of income tax for all veterans. But that's in a separate plan. I'll talk about that. So anybody making under $150,000 a year should not pay income tax at all. Anybody making under $300,000 a year as a household should not be paying income tax at all. The top 1,000 wage earners should pay approximately 4% more in taxes to make up that difference. Maybe 4 to 5%. That'll make up the entire difference. Ending property taxes, you can do the same thing within that same amount of money, and you could make up most of the difference. You would just have to increase corporate taxes by about 0.75% and put it directly into, and I'm not talking small business, corporate. Love Canada said, I hate Israel. Also, I'll loathe Ukraine. Yeah, that, by the way, is starting. The Ukraine war will be done here shortly, from what I understand. So no property taxes. That's 0.4 because you can never really own your house if you pay property taxes. It's stupid. Point number 5 should be no tax on food. There should just be no tax on food. It doesn't matter. No tax on food. States implementing it. Now, what about prepared food? Like,
there's no tax on food anyway.
Prepared food there is.
Prepared food.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Should there be a tax on prepared food? We'll discuss a tax with prepared food. That's for another day. Point number 7 is increasing the necessity of health insurances to accept. Yes, tax that. Okay. Health insurance companies should accept 90% minimum of what doctors' recommendations are, not accountants at the healthcare industry. Doctors should make a great deal of the decisions on what insurance accepts, not the other way around. And then point number 7 should be ending monopolies nationwide. And that includes BlackRock and Vanguard because they're a bunch of fuckbags. Your government never gets old. Thank you, Mabel Cat. Number 8, uphold the First Amendment. This is called the Charlie Kirk Act, but it's not what you think. This is an act that prevents governments, foreign and abroad, allowing propaganda into your anything. So this means that government propaganda would be illegal in the news or in any type of government anything, basically. And that also means Israeli propaganda, like Project Esther and shit, would be illegal as well. Thank you, BG. What's up, BG? So that's that. The second Bill of Rights, which is point 9, which I guess I've put that under a multiple. Yes, I will, baby. Oh, fuck. Okay.
Just can't sit up to get them.
I love you. So the second Bill of Rights, this is a multiple Bill of Rights here. This goes not because of socialism. This is because of the affluence of the American experience. And if we want to act like we're in a golden age, we have to act like we're in a golden age. You can't just make the rich wealthy and say you're in a golden age. That's bullshit. You have to have your people doing better. So here's how this works. This includes a right to a useful job. This includes the right to earn enough money to provide adequate food, clothing, and recreation. This includes the right of a farmer to raise and sell his product at a return that gives you and your family a decent living. This gives you the right of every business, large and small, to trade and do business in an atmosphere free from unfair competition and monopolies. This gives you the right of every family to have a decent home. This gives you the right of every individual to have adequate medical care or the right to receive that. This gives the right to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, or unemployment. And this gives you the right to a good education, seeing our tax dollars pay for education anyway. If you want a private university, you can do that. Otherwise, you go to public school and pay very minimal. That is the Economic Bill of Rights, known as the Second Bill of Rights, point 9 of my plan, which should be implemented, not because it's socialist, but because America's affluence demands that we give and assist our people and forcibly put upward mobility on people. So if we're going to be a country that's a beacon on the hill and a country that's a fucking golden age, thank you, Keith. And we have to have no homeless veterans, no homeless people in general, people that are, we have mental facilities to help people out. We have to act like we're in the golden age. We can't just be jerking off and pretend. So Trump talks a big game about fucking, Trump talks a big game about the golden age of America. Well, I want to see it by uplifting America. We're not doing that yet, and it's sickening. Anyway, point number 10 of my government is the Rich 60% Investment Act, which I'm going to change to a 70%, which that is your wealthy corporations have to at least hire 70% workers in America and not put your labor force and factory force overseas. Otherwise, you can't call yourself an American company and you'll pay tariffs here in America. So like Apple, 80% of their workforce is in China. All their factories are in China. Well, they would be having to choose either hire Americans and bring workers back here with the factories, or you can call yourself a Chinese company and then you'll pay tariffs. That's basically what we're doing here. So, point number 11 is a standards and practices law or practices department. That's a department of the government that stops planned obsolescence and scams from overseas particularly. So you know what planned obsolescence is? When something's created to break on purpose. This department would investigate that and make that illegal. You'd have to up your game, make products better. And scams, we would work with overseas governments to stop things like Indian call centers, arrest those pieces of shit, and then bring them over here and put them in our jails for 20, 30 years because fuck them. You don't scam little old ladies. The next point number 12, I'd like to see, and now this isn't a law, but I would like to incentivize a 4-day work week. I did not. Holy shit, Marine. So I would like to incentivize a 4-day work week, and that would be the government saying, we'll give you tax breaks or whatever it is on your company if you hire people. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, my friend. And Mabel Cat. If you hire people at 4-day, 4 10-hour days or even 4 8-hour days, and you give people an extra day off. That would really, thank you, that would really help out, and that would reduce the stress on the overall population. If you haven't noticed, everybody in America is on edge, and they're fucking psychotic right now. They're all yell at everybody, step on your face just for looking at you, right? Yeah, people need a de-stressor, and a full extra day off would be just absolutely the fucking fantastic. You could actually have something, and we need to increase our upward mobility. The United States needs to pay its people. You got enough money. Let's get that fucking money rolling. Let's go. I'd be arrested. Another point number 13, end private prisons. End private prisons. You can't have a country that's free if you're arresting people for profit. I know people look at it the other way and say, well, as long as we're arresting you, we can make money. No, the very notion of making profit off arresting somebody is a way to keep arresting people and making laws harsh and taking rights away to put them in jail for profit. We're not doing this anymore. Private prisons should be seized. They go back to state and federal jurisdiction. The assets seized goes back to prisons. And private prisons illegal, and their CEOs either kicked out, illegal to do business, end the prison, the school to prison pipeline. That this is all stupid. What makes you think you can have a free country with private prisons? That's got jail for money written all over it. That's exactly what it is. And in my book that I'll write on it, I'll cite something that they did there. What was that?
Scott said he had 4 pieces of bacon today. I said I had bacon when he was up yesterday talking about it.
Oh, okay. Yes. Point number 14 is decriminalize marijuana. And also, because you can't forcibly say that you have to sell weed in each state. They still have to decide. But legalize. What's up, Andrew? Legalize or decriminalize marijuana nationwide so you won't go to jail for it. And each state decides what they want to do with it. If, like, Indiana doesn't want to sell it, that's fine, but you can't arrest anybody for it. But then that also means increasing penalties on other drugs. So the way I look at it is you decrease the penalty on marijuana by decriminalizing it. That way we can work with Canada on a marijuana and hemp trade going across the border. There's a lot of money. Canada grows a lot of weed and hemp. We can make a lot of money off that in taxes, right? But it incentivizes people to not go after weed. And then we increase the penalties for coke, meth, crack, fentanyl, all that type of shit. So we double the penalties for that shit while reducing the penalties for marijuana. And we keep certain other ones just kind of the same. You know what I'm saying? Veteran Housing Act and the Military Mortgage Reduction Act and ending income tax for veterans for the rest of their life. All of those would be under the American Dream Act, which I'll get into the over thing. What's up, Corey? Which I'll talk about that overall as I go on. But the Veteran Housing Act part would say if you're in the military, thank you, Marie. If you're in the military and you get honorably discharged, that you're allowed a discount on any home, basically. And so there'd be home companies we'd work with, and you'd say you'd get like 20 to 30% off on a house initially for getting honorably discharged from the military. And then, of course, that couples in with the Military Mortgage Reduction Act. If you're honorably discharged, you get like 3% off on interest rate for a house. If you go career, your interest rate can be reduced to 0.1%. And if you go career, you can get a house like 60, 70% off. That incentivizes people to join the military. to get a house and then do college secondary, which is paid for by taxes mostly, except for private universities, which you can get student loans for that, but I don't know why you'd want to. In some cases, I guess if you're wealthy, whatever. And then, of course, with the American Dream Act, that goes into more if you get incentives if you have children, whether it's adopted or it's, but I'll get into some of that later. Point number 16, harsh animal cruelty penalties. What's up, my friend? How you doing? I have it all. I have this list on X. The one I have pinned is an old one. I need to update it and put this one on there. I'll unpin that and put this one on tonight on X. And I'm going to write a book with these points. So please buy the book. I'll put it out there and I'll advertise for it.
I'm assuming you're listening here, so say thank you for the cash app.
Oh, thank you for the Cash App. Seriously?
That's Elizabeth, but
I don't know who Elizabeth is, but thank you. How much was it?
25.
Damn, thank you. Thank you for the Cash App. That was fantastic. You guys are awesome. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, they'll want to Clinton me eventually. 30-year minimum for hurting animals. That's what I was saying. Mine was 25 years for the most harsh animal cruelty penalties. So yeah, we're close on that on the timeline there. We could go up to 30. Point number 18 is secure the border with the United States military and electronic border resources. Obviously, with the Military Mortgage Reduction Act and all this, people would want to join the military, put them on the border, and you could stop illegals coming across as a matter of course. Still build the wall, all this other shit, but use electronic resources and certain things to make sure that this bullshit doesn't happen again like it did under Joe Biden and other fuckbags. Point number 19, the United States needs to build desalination plants on the West Coast. Desalination plants. This shit's getting out of control. We need one desalination plant dedicated to Southern California's drinking water. Another desalination plant, dedicated to filling the reservoirs and water systems of Central and Southern California. We need another desalination plant with piping water to Arizona, and we need to Las Vegas. And another one piping out to the Colorado River, which goes through all the rest, which I was saying, Arizona and all this shit, Colorado and Arizona. And then that'll re-liquefy the West Coast. You say, well, why is that important? Because the population of the West Coast continues to increase and the water resources continue to decrease. So therefore, you have to do something. It's the year 2025. We should be able to utilize our technology and our intelligence to make this better. That right there, and that's another thing, because I have a plan on this to make weather modification illegal. So this is a way to get water without weather modification, because I don't trust weather modification as having no effects overall. I believe if it happens bad here, it might fuck up somewhere else. Kind of like if I take all the water from this area and make it rain on purpose, then it might make it dry somewhere else years. You know what I'm saying? Yes, data centers are a big threat too, and that's another reason we could pipe in water to data centers with, and I mean nationwide, have nationwide water piping into these places coming from the West Coast and East Coast, I guess, not the lakes. We need the fresh water, and that would fix a lot of that. Yeah, and I don't want them to use our springs. That's the thing. And the electric, yeah, exactly, Marine. So we got a lot going on with that. I believe that we should have a Patriot Institution Act. That means if your company is found to be openly assisting our adversaries over at the cost of us, you will not be able to operate your business here in the United States. You have to be thinking about America first. Point number 21, felons should be allowed to vote. Non-violent felons should be allowed to travel, and I mean worldwide. if you are a nonviolent felon for X number of years. And if you're a felon, you should be able to own a gun if it was for a nonviolent felony and it was a long enough time. So for instance, yes, this is live. What's up, Mike? So for instance, if you were committed a felony when you were 19 and you're 40 now, and you're a pastor, I don't know why you can't own a gun or travel to Japan. You're not a threat at all. Now, should this be each person goes before and has an appeal hearing? Probably. But I don't see why you can't minimum vote. You know what I'm saying? What's up, America? How you doing, Mike? Well, I'm smoking a concentrate joint with a background of New York City I took while reading my government that I need to make a book out of. And no, I'm not going to make AI write it because that's bullshit.
You're going to make your wife
write it. I'm going to dictate it and my wife's going to write it. I wrote all my wife's papers and she dictated. No, wait. I dictated then. You got your degree with my dictations? Oh my God. That did happen. Of course, you passed the tests.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Anyway, sorry. What's up, America? Point number 22 is we need a nationwide high-speed rail network. So China's putting us to shame. What's up, Steph?
Jeez, baby.
Fuck! That's some strong shit. Oh my God. I know, Steph. That was too much concentrate in that. Holy fuck. Okay, anyway. So the high-speed rail network. The high-speed rail network, I would like to see trains similar to China or Japan going 300 miles an hour from every major city connecting to every major city so that we can give the airlines a run for its money and they'll quit being douchebags. So if you have an airline that treats people like shit like we have now, and it takes 4 hours to fly from New York to LA, but if you had a high-speed rail that took you 10 hours from New York to LA, thank you, Nana, but it was $60 round trip. Would you take the extra 6 hours to be on a high-speed rail? Stay on YouTube, bro. I know. I'm bringing more people over. That's what I'm trying to do, Steph. I'm up to, but YouTube or TikTok likes to suppress if you're trying to make people leave to come over here. Thank you, Shells, because TikTok sucks dick. Bad. It's a shame that's the platform. I have 315,000 followers. I wish it was this one. I like the fact that YouTube gives a play button. I'd like to have another one of those. That's fantastic. They're beautiful pieces. And the new ones, I don't have, my last YouTube play button was from Susan Wojcicki. I'd like to get a Neil Mohan. That's right, Steph. More than you can imagine. So everybody follow me on here. Tell your friends on YouTube to follow me, subscribe, and then get me to 100,000 so I can apply for a play button. I'll be like, see? And then they can verify me and all this other shit. It's because I already know how it works. Don't they verify you after that? I think they can verify you beforehand if you're like a celebrity. I'm not really a celebrity, though. Oh, thank you, Steph. Not yet, anyway. Am I a celebrity? I'm not a celebrity. People recognize me, but I'm not like, dick out celebrity. You know what I mean? Anyway, nationwide high-speed rail network we need. I think that would be fantastic. That would really cut travel costs. And a lot of people would be able to start taking that extra day they had off. If you are so, yes, she is. Then, of course, the New American Dream Act. I talked about that with the military, but I'd like to incorporate that with incentives to have children, incentives to go to college, get your children into college, incentives to buy cars, cheaper prices if you're in the military, cheaper certain things if you finished college, depending on what it is. We'll get into that more. Me is a celebrity.
An unseen.
She's an unseen. She's a faceless YouTube channel.
That's right.
Point number 24. I would like to make third-party debt collecting illegal. Right? Third-party debt. So like debt collectors, bye, fuck you. So at no time should it be legal for $5,000 in debt to be purchased by a third party for $80, and then you sue someone for $5,000 and they get that $5,000. That's what happens in America. MasterCard, Visa, Discover, all that, you should have to sue these people to get your losses back. Yeah, I have that, Maureen. I have that on here. That's coming up in 2 more points. So third-party debt collecting, illegal. Because if you're a third-party debt collector, you should only be able to make the money you paid for the debt and court costs. That's it. So if you paid $80, you're entitled to $80 and the court costs. So your business would just be nothing. So we might as well get rid of you anyway. The companies like MasterCard, Visa, American Express, you should sue your people. Fuck these assholes. Because what happens is somebody buys $1 million in debt for $1,000 and just sues everyone until they make their money back. And that's called bastardizing the United States justice system. Roughly half of all cases are that. Just overall. So, fuck that shit. Yeah, when debt is not debt, when they write the debt off, and then so the credit card companies write off approximately 1/3 of their fucking losses, just period. They just lie. So, of all the money that credit card companies loan out, initially they just fucking 1/3 of it, they write off. As a matter of course. And then what they do after that is the third-party debt collectors buy this unsecured debt, which they just sell it. The companies sell it in portfolios for pennies on the dollar. And then these assholes double dip in something they should be coming after or stop bitching about. And so it's a bastardization of the Justice Department. It's mostly foreign owned, exactly. And where does the money come from? Where does the money come from? The capital for credit card companies, where does that come from? It comes from the Federal Reserve. Okay, so this is a Ponzi scheme. So we can't have that shit. It's bullcrap. We have the Infrastructure Evolution Act. That would be point number 25. That would be not just building the infrastructure back in America. That would be evolving the infrastructure. So I'm talking about replacing all the pipes with copper pipes so that there's no bacteria buildup. That's replacing all the electric lines with high utility lines and lines that can do things like have fiber optics in them and fucking Ethernet lines, just weird shit like that. That's high tech. Utilizing things like nationwide Starlink systems, photoluminescent roads that glow in the dark. So you have street lights that are obviously all solar powered, or at least for the most part. But then you also have photoluminescent roads. So during the day, it looks like concrete. And then during the night, it glows blue. There's test roads in Korea and other places like this. So at nighttime, instead of having street lights, you'll still have some every now and again. But the road will generally just have a light blue glow to it from little particles of photoluminescent particles in the ground. Also, and when you're building highway you would be using Roman concrete to build the highway. So instead of it breaking down every 10 years or so, it won't break down except every 200 to 300 years, and or even longer. And so you wouldn't have to keep doing this. They said, well, that'll effectively put certain things out of business. No, it'll evolve the country to where those businesses have to do something else now. See what I'm saying? Well, people will go out of business. Well, we'll evolve everything. And so we'd have to put a fact-finding commission on how to evolve it and then implement it. So that's what it is. You'd have to have credit card interest rates capped at 10%. What's up, Troy? Credit card interest rates capped at 10%. That would be a nationwide usury law. So there would be a nationwide usury law that's federal that says you cannot charge more than 10% interest on anything, period, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, that's the cap. And that'll also fuck your business up if you do that high. Because we're done with all this fucking profiteering off bullshit, this nickel and dime shell game horse shit. I mean, it's getting fucking old. We need to move on and get our head out of our ass here. Thank you, Laylee. I would like to redistrict the United States by using a census that does not include illegal aliens influencing the districts. I think that's a fair point. We should do that. That's point number 27. Point number 28, obviously a necessity to adhere to the Constitution from all elected officials. Thank you, Laylee. So all elected officials would have to take an oath to adhere to the Constitution. Once again, voter ID definitely would throw that in there. Point number 29, any elected official would be barred from trading, buying, or selling stock while they're in office. You can own stock before you get into office. You can own stock after you get out of office. But when you're in office, if you're buying, selling, or trading stock of any kind, you would go to jail. So fuck yourself. That's it. I would like to see retirement age reduced to 60. So 60 years old, that's your retirement age. No more fucking around. Until the life expectancy grows to a minimum of 80, we won't make it go up. I would like to go after companies that hired illegal aliens. Go after companies that hired illegal aliens and fine, penalize, or arrest the CEOs for allowing that dereliction of the law. But I'd also like to see a path forward for children of illegal aliens for permanent residency, predominantly from the ages of 16 to 24. Gummy. Holla. Good shit. These are the MKX Deep Sleep. I would say not illegal all the way for foreign aid, just in case there's natural disasters and a shitload of people die. Some people can't, like, if it's something like natural disasters, I'm all for stepping up. This is really cool. This is a concentrate pen. It's got concentrate in it, and you squeeze it out and you brush your joints with it. So, here you go, honey. You want to stand that up?
Oh shit.
You see? See what's happening? Your is now causing problems. Yeah, USAID is a shit. What's up, KD Woods? How you doing? What's up, B Vance? What's up, America? So point number 33 is, it's point number 34, 33, 34. In the surveillance state, by removing subsidies for surveillance equipment for certain organizations. And point number 34, ending the Patriot Act. What's up, Katie? What? Yep, ending the Patriot Act. That's paramount. I would love to see that gone. Fuck the Patriot Act. We can rewrite certain things in necessity, but fuck that shit. And then also, point number 35 is ending Citizens United. ending Citizens United is, if you don't know what Citizens United is, Citizens United allows corporations to give unlimited funding to campaigns. They say that corporations have human rights. And so before Citizens United, companies could only donate like $3,500. Then it went to like 11 grand. And then they did Citizens United, which says you can donate as much as you want. Now, as you know, a bunch of people that are running are billionaires, and that's basically it. That's why. And you see what that gets our government, right? It sucks. So before Citizens United, regular people could get into government. Now, after Citizens United, it's a fucking shit show. So you got to end Citizens United and get rid of that. Point number 36 is clean the water and land over the atmosphere. I know the United States and Western Europe, we like to get carbon out of the atmosphere. Damn, that's nice and everything. Thank you, Shells. But I would like to see the water cleaned up and the land and Superfund sites taken out of commission and cleaned up. Superfund sites. Those are sites throughout America that are just toxic fucking waste dumps and pollution dumps. I think it's much more conducive to get rid of that shit. Filter your water. Yes, I need to. It would be much better to get rid of that shit than fucking clean the carbon out of the atmosphere, frankly. Which brings me to my next point. Point number 37 is clean the plastic out of the ocean using cargo container ships with a series of netting on the outside to pick up plastics. And, of course, certain types of filters to get microplastics and small plastics out of the water. Collect those and then bring them back and use them to make Plastahol, which is plastic gasoline. Yeah, exactly. You have to have carbon. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I worry that we're going to be dry without it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Steph. So, I would like to get rid of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and all the plastic in the ocean and waterways and use that as gasoline and put that in there. There's a guy that made gasoline. He can convert plastic to gasoline. I think it's amazing. Yes, I know it would cost money, but I don't care. It's about adding to the system and getting rid of the plastic, but still making something out of it. Point number 38, I would like to get rid of all weather modification, making anything weather modification illegal, with exceptions for extreme drought, for cloud seeding, but get rid of anything that's weather modification like chemtrails, anything like that if they exist and they're showing out there, anything like blocking out the sun, all that shit is ridiculous. Get rid of all that. That's stupid. That's just dumb bullshit. Point number 39, common sense abortion law. In instances of incest, rape, or if the mother's going to die, you can have an abortion. You can have an abortion somewhere between 30 and 60 days. And over-the-counter morning after pill would be accessible. Anything after that, fuck you. We're not going to pay for that. Everything else is on your pocket. And that also means that the government would not be funding Planned Parenthood. Only the donors. It's a nonprofit. The government shouldn't do that unless they change their status. Now, if they want to do that, you'll be not tax exempt. And you need to fucking do that because there's certain things that just don't add up with this. I'm sure there's enough liberal donors to hook you up. Don't worry. Point number 40, government investment into small business, not large business. As you know, our government bails out the government or bails out large companies. Our government bails out banks, bail out, but nobody ever bails out small business. Well, the government should be having investments into small business loans that have no payback for 3 to 5 years, giving the new business time to grow. Its first year is the most fragile, of course. And we'll get into that later with figuring out what to do with that. National School Security Force, point number 41, is a national school security force. That would be veterans and former police officers would be employed to guard schools from school shooters. Are you willing to pay 1 or 2% more in taxes for that? I am. So this would be approximately $70,000 a year for veterans and for former police officers to be hired by schools, by the government for schools, to basically sit there and patrol the schools and wait in arms in case a school shooter comes so you can kill him. So I've already done the research. There's 130,000 schools throughout the United States, including colleges and universities, all the way down to kindergartens. You would need approximately 450,000 men to guard these schools. And there are approximately 8.5 million veterans under the age of 50 that could do this. I don't know how many police officers. Yeah, I already talked about that, Dan. We have a point for planned obsolescence. It's called the Standards and Practices Department, and you'd be able to sue the company or force a change. That was point like number 16. Yeah, I wish you were here earlier. So a school national security force, you have the men, you have the accessibility. Universities would have between 3 and 5 men to guard in case there was a school shooter. High schools would have 2 on average, maybe 3 for large and mainly 2. Elementary schools would have 1 to 2, and middle schools, I should say, would have 1 to 2. Elementary schools would have 1 generally, and kindergartens would have probably floating back and forth because they're generally attached to elementary schools, so you could do a little bit more with that. Most universities do, but I think that all schools should have a federal protection force. As soon as you hear that, boom, boom, we need men that are trained out there. I've seen a lot of these school shootings where the people come in and literally they're scared. And frankly, combat veterans, like it would be one of those situations where I'm giving you something to shoot at besides the students. So a combat veteran comes out with an AR-15. You may have 10 or 12 cops on the way, but you're standing in between, he comes and opens fire on students, and you're there lickety-split returning fire on this piece of shit, and you're fucking going after him. Students are escaping. More time for them to come with backup and kill this motherfucker, and then we pin it down. The objective is to get losses, civilian casualties down by 90% with this, if there is a school shooting. And it also means that on top of that, for other crimes, you would have highly armed individuals in close proximity to where other large crimes might occur. So you might have an instance where you see a heavy shootout between police and an individual that robbed a bank or whatever, or a high-speed chase or whatever's going on that ends up right in front of you, and schools go on lockdown, and they could go on lockdown, but you might be able to send 1 or 2 men into combat against these fuckfaces also in close proximity. So you might have 1 or 2 officers pinned down by some asshole that's robbing a bank, but all of a sudden 2 federal school safety officers armed with AR-15s come out and just gun this motherfucker down and save the day. And by the time the 20 officers get there, the subject's taken out, the 2 officers pinned down are alive, and the threat is neutralized in a much quicker fashion. So we also have a radius of protection around that extends to other businesses. You might have a business across the street that's getting robbed, and a school safety officer sees that, comes across the street and holds the motherfucker at gunpoint, waits for officers while he's doing double duty on that. There could be a lot of benefits to this. We're both married, just FYI. So then point number 42 would be a digital bill of rights. This would protect you online from being canceled and censored under 18 U.S. Code 241 and 242. Yeah, we need to get everybody over here. But YouTube's more difficult, and I understand that, but we'll get it eventually. I just need tell everybody on TikTok that you know to follow me over here, and if you're on YouTube, tell them to subscribe, and we'll grow it as fast as possible with you guys. And then if and when we ever do anything, have a radio show, get in government, whatever it is, then I'll take your points from people I know on social media, like Steph and Nana and other people, and we can implement that into government, you see? So this isn't about me, it's about you, the consumer, eventually using me as a conduit if I get into government or somebody actually listens to me that's not a dickhead. So far, no dice, but anyway, Digital Bill of Rights. I would like, point number 43, I would like to make pharmaceutical ads on television illegal. Also, I have to add restore hemp usage in the United States after these dipshits fucked around. No more pharmaceutical ads on television. Use your money for research and development. Fuck your profit making in most cases. I understand you got a business to run, but not like that. They're all dickheads. Point number 44, I would like to see the necessity of credit scores being used for things lowered. So I would like to see credit scores just kind of as a figurehead type of thing. It doesn't really stop. Yeah, exactly, Marine. They're going to get rid of the hemp industry. 300,000 jobs gone. That just adds insult to injury with the fucking AI shit. This is a total nightmare. These people are fucking retarded. I swear to God. Am I allowed to say retarded here?
No, you just did.
Like, am I allowed to say? Anyway, we'll get into that. No more frivolous lawsuits. Point number 45. I would like to have what's called a frequent flyer database set up by the court system here in the United States. Kind of like one of those databases you can check people's names. You can check on a frequent flyer database. So, for instance, if somebody says they put 7 protective orders on people, and then they try to do one on you, and they're like, well, hold on a second. You're hitting on the frequent flyer database. We see here that you've put protective orders on 6 people on the past. There's no fucking way that many people are fucking with you. So you're a frequent flyer, and you need to now come to an appeal hearing to even go forward with us listening to this shit. Because you're a burden on the justice system. We fucking do justice here. We don't fuck around on little piddly bullshit. So if you sue a bunch of people, you got 7 protective orders on people, you keep suing people for minor shit over and over and over, we're going to stop listening to you. We're going to have you on a frequent flyer database, and we're going to call that a boy who cried wolf situation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, TikTok does still suck dick. Remove supplemental fluoride from the water. I've been taught, by the way, I said this on TikTok. They flagged that, and that was a strike. Remove supplemental fluoride from the water. So fluoride that's added to the water, remove that from the fucking water. Jesus fucking Christ. We also need to remove cancer-causing chemicals from the food. That's point number 47. Point 46 and 47 is making our food and water healthy. Point number 48, I would like to see pesticides lowered by 75% in our food supply. That all goes into public health, all 3 of those things. Absolutely. Big industry with hemp. Dude, hemp makes cars. You should look up Henry Ford's hemp car. You can hit it with a sledgehammer, it won't dent. Point number 49, common sense copyright laws. Obviously, people are too harsh with copyright, so we should have common sense copyright laws that says if you haven't used something for 30 years, the general public should be able to do parodies and other shit using the footage. The fuck is wrong with you? This is ridiculous. It's a logistical nightmare. See, I'm not a hemp farmer. My family was farmers, though. And then point number 50 is something that I developed in the last couple of days. So were the other points. Point number 50, I would like to have a national referendum voting plan, which is called the Citizens Vote for the Issues. So it's come to my attention that our voting class is a bunch of lazy fucks. And because obviously we have our Congress and Senate as our representational government, but the citizens don't really get a vote. So what we should do, point number 50, is a national referendum voting plan where anything that would involve changes to the citizenry would be voted on. So things like the hemp law would be a legal weed, or tax law, or whether we go to war or anything like that. Big shit like that, the citizens would vote on it, and then based on how your district votes, it would force the Congress or Senate to vote that way. Yeah. So if you have let's say District 7 is a Republican district, but in Indiana, but 68% want gay marriage for some reason, then that would force the Republican congressman to vote for gay marriage. Consequently, if you have like a Democrat voting district in New York, that the guy's a heavy Democrat, but 70% want open carry guns, then that Democrat has to vote to have open carry guns. And however that washes out in the law is how it washes out with majority rule. And so I think that would save the government and fix a lot of bullshit. Here, let me come this way since we're done smoking, because my ass is fucking killing me on that. You ever take your pants off and run backwards through a cornfield? Of course you haven't. But anyway, that is what I'm saying, and that is what I'm believing. So that's my government so far. I think that's enough to write a book, don't you? Smart meters and 5G towers. Yeah, that would be nice too. You see, that all would be done so that would be done by like the energy department, I believe. And so you'd have to say, because like the guy that's in the transport department, you know how like the cars that you have when you go to the stoplight and the car shuts off so it lowers emissions? Yeah, they're recommending that go away and shit like that. So like the low flow toilets, getting rid of those, the low flow showers, getting rid of those. That's what we need. And so the energy department would have to do that type of thing. But that's my government. Wait. Hold on a second. Cancel. Save? I guess. Okay. Anyway, but that's my government, so that's where we're at right here. There's a lot more things that need to be kind of added to that, and we'll get to that. The news was fun. It's kind of weak today. Scott Bessent, there's supposed to be $2,000 checks coming. That's still in flux. We'll see what happens with that. We have people talking about reforms to the UN. I would like to get rid of the UN. Ilhan Omar. Oh, that's another thing. Donald Trump got rid of protections for Somali migrants. And as you know, about 40 to 50% of the migrant population from Somalia and Minnesota turned out that they came here on fraudulent means, by fake marriages, forging documents, fake companies that didn't exist to sponsor them, shit like that. And so, yeah, exactly. So eventually, Trump eventually said we're going to get rid of protections from them. So hopefully we'll be able to deport those fucks. And then, of course, as you know, Ilhan Omar would have absolutely not won if it wasn't for that. I would hope Syria, too. Donald Trump is trying to do the thing with the auto pen. with Joe Biden, where anything that was the auto pen would be considered null and void. And if that's the case, that would take a lot of oomph that Biden did against us away, which I think will happen eventually. And Argentina creates an immigration security force, honey, mimicking the United States. And of course, the chart-topping Spotify song is a Christian AI song. And the FBI they're talking about getting rid of Kash Patel. And Trump pardons a couple of turkeys today. And that's the news, basically. London Daily Mail reporting Virginia high school football teacher is on the run for having child pee. Caroline Levitt's family member is arrested by ICE after living in the United States for decades as desperate relatives plead with the press secretary to save her from deportation. One of Caroline Levitt's family members, the press secretary. Thank you, Mabel Cat. I've got a lot of pictures I took. I have several on here that I like. I need to show more of them. And Sydney Sweeney is showing her ass and tits. 2-year-old dies in a hot car while his dad was inside jerking off to adult videos. And University of Minnesota sparks fury with a program offering guidelines to reverse the whiteness pandemic. So this is the last story I'll talk about. Subscribe here, by the way. University of Minnesota has an initiative that warns about a whiteness pandemic and gives parents educative strategies on how to halt and reverse whiteness. The university's Culture and Family Life Lab, which is contained in the Institute of Child Development, defines the so-called pandemic as the centuries-old culture of whiteness that features color blindness, passivity, and white fragility, which are all covert expressions of racism common in America. Oh, hell yeah, fucking Steph. Hell yeah, my friend. White men are ruining America. Four academics at the university are responsible for writing and sourcing a page of the white pandemic, which they argue is lurking behind and driving an existing racism pandemic held by the most racist looking fucking black bitch I've ever seen in my life here on fucking goddamn. The online article serves as a summary of a paper Dr. Gail Ferguson, the director of the Culture and Family Life Lab, wrote on whiteness in 2021. The paper was motivated by the murder of George Floyd. If you were born, raised in the United States, you've grown up in the whiteness pandemic. And you can play a role in the halting and reversing, especially if you are white, because of the power and privilege you hold in this radicalized society. This is the dumbest bullshit. If you were socialized into the culture of whiteness during childhood, it's not your fault. But as an adult, you now have a responsibility to self-reflect, re-educate yourself, and act. You know how I know it's bullshit? I wrote a thesis in college to get my degree on the split of racism between New Zealand and Aboriginal culture in Australia. I bullshitted a fucking thesis and got a B+ on it. Still having a 3.77 GPA and getting my degree. I knew it was bullshit when I wrote it. But I knew I could write anything about racism and win. And I won. It's not about how, it's not about what, it's about how, right, honey? If you're a white adult Anti-racist action involves an ongoing process of self-reflection in order to develop a healthy, positive white identity while engaged in courageous anti-racist parenting and caregiving. They also argue that talking with your children about race, racism, and anti-racism is crucial in developing. No, just letting people play together as kids and not talking about race. Because if they don't see it, they don't care. And then that makes it over time go away. Unless you have it right. Let's see. Bizarre reason planes are sprayed as they go over. What? Water salutes fallen soldiers. We've had that. Remember that? We came into Chicago once, and they did a salute on the plane. So that was probably a soldier in the plane that died. Dark matter is seen for the first time as eerie image shows direct evidence of dark matter, and religious leaders say the end of the last day will be the end of 2025, so it won't be. Anyway, that's that. That's the news for today. I guess that's how it is. Smoke them if you got them. Follow me, subscribe here on YouTube. Subscribe here. Follow me on TikTok. Hello America Sup. But subscribe here on YouTube. Gift if you got it. Or heart and thumbs up and share. But gift and Cash App and Venmo, which I have down there. Thank you for the Cash App earlier, by the way. And all of you are awesome. We got to fix our food. Sorry, I didn't mean to conk out, but like the news is weak, frankly. The news is weak, frankly. There's not much going on. It's, I mean, I could get into local news, but we haven't seen. That's another thing. When Donald Trump was in office last time, there was a lot of days with not much news. By the way, the music I have going in the background is, I actually made it. So if you're on this page here on YouTube, I have my long form videos, but I also have music on here I just started making. And also, what else was it? I guess that's it. Oh, watch my long form videos. So my shorts are on here. The same like TikTok, but go watch my longer videos and make the engagement really high and the click-through rate super high, if you get what I'm saying. Yes, you can ask me an important question. What is up? What is down? What's all around? Oh, you guys are funny. Guess we're not? Okay. Anyway, that's that. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're wealthy, donate like $5,000 and we'll go film somewhere. So it's actually fun. It'll be warm. It's freezing here, so the background sucks. It's all stuff. I digress. But yeah, that's how it is. So follow me here. Subscribe on YouTube. Hello America Sup and all that shit. If you don't like me, mute me or block me, whatever YouTube allows, and go fuck yourself. And yeah, I'm going to try to get as many people every day from YouTube to TikTok, or TikTok to YouTube every single day, so we can get as many people over here, because I will hang out with two gingers. Yeah, it'll actually be fun. You're in Tennessee anyway, right? We never go to Memphis area or West Tennessee, do we? We never go to West Philadelphia, where I was born and raised. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, I'll start on TikTok, and then I'll bring everybody over here, even if there's less viewers, because TikTok sucks a dick. Did you see my question? No. Can I ask you an important question? And then nothing happened. Anyway, okay, that's enough of that. So we'll be back tomorrow. Don't like me, block me, go fuck yourself. See you later. Bye.